The Labour Party wants Judith Collins' office sealed and treated as a potential crime scene. Ms Collins quit after the publication of an email from the blogger Cameron Slater, in which he suggested she was part of a scheme to undermine the head of the Serious Fraud Office. She has denied any wrongdoing and has welcomed the inquiry, saying it will give her a chance to clear her name. The Labour leader David Cunliffe has called on the State Services Commission to take control of Judith Collins' office to ensure staff do not destroy or delete material. And he says any inquiry into allegations against Ms Collins should go wider and probe the links between Cabinet Ministers and Mr Slater's whale oil website.
This is John Key's network. This is the people, Kathy Odgers, Cameron Slater, who John Key talks to regularly, Jason E, David Farrer, Carrick Graham. This is John Key's network. This is not just about Judith Collins. She's just a minister who was completely out of control.
For a response, I spoke to John Key moments ago, starting with the details of the inquiry. We've been allocated 5 minutes, so I won't waste it. Will this inquiry look only at whether Judith Collins was part of a campaign to undermine the former SFO head, or will it look more broadly at her ministerial role and indeed the conduct of your government?
I received some preliminary advice last night. I need to go back. There's a couple of things I need to go back and just talk to the officials that are giving me the advice about today. And I think I'll be in a position to announce the inquiry and the terms on, my guess is probably Tuesday, Wednesday at the very latest, but probably Tuesday.
But will it look only into this incident, or will it look more broadly?
Into this incident is my guess.
So you don't think that you need a wider inquiry given the range of allegations and given the links between your government, your staff, yourself and Cameron Slater?
I don't, and I'll tell you the reason why. If you look at the book makes a number of allegations. Some of them are either known, some of them are either, frankly, basically wrong, or they're subject to an inquiry. So the SIS matter is going to be fully investigated, as it should be under the law that I established. And secondly, this matter I deem to be very serious if it was true that the minister responsible for the SFO was undermining her own minister, then that's a very, very serious matter. But I'm not responsible for, kind of what Cameron Slater and all these other people do, because anybody who knows Cameron knows he does his own thing and deals with many people. And as the email demonstrated, actually, that I released on Saturday, there was a lot of engagement with a media outlet. Now, they've rightfully so said, look, that's not correct. It's the veracity of those statements.
Yes, but you knew that she was very close friends with Cameron Slater. You must have known she was passing information to him and back the other way.
I certainly knew that she was close friends. I don't think you can say that we knew she was passing information. She utterly disputes that, and in fact, in her defence, the State Services Commissioner has backed her position. But you and I both know that if I had got that email on Friday night like I did, then on Saturday released that email and said, well, look, she's given me an assurance everything's okay, all hell would have broke loose, and in my opinion, rightfully so.
Okay, but culture comes from the top. You have allowed a culture to develop where public servants and political opponents are attacked by whale oil using information fed by a cabinet minister, members of your own staff.
No, I don't think that's right. I think what is fair to say is yes, Jason Eade from time to time spoke to whale oil, but it's also true that out of David Cunliffe's office and out of others...
You knew, though, we're not talking about that, you knew that Jason Eade in your office was passing information to Cameron Slater to damage national opponents, didn't you? You knew that.
No, what I did know was that he did speak to whale oil, and he spoke to quite a number of other bloggers in the same way that we speak to media outlets, but it's also true that on the left of politics, they all speak to attack bloggers.
You are deeply implicated in this to the extent that you yourself have been involved in direct exchanges of information and conversations with Cameron Slater, and in February you said you spoke regularly to him and that he was the source of the information that your opponents had visited the .com mansion.
No, I didn't exactly say that.
Well, was he?
That's
was
not
he
really
your
relevant.
Source for that story?
Well, that's not really relevant.
Was he your source for that story?
Well, I'm not going to go into that particular thing because that's not actually really relevant. But what is
Well, it
true,
is relevant because it goes right to the heart of this matter, which was
doesn't it?
that information was being laundered through Cameron Slater, but
No.
with your direct involvement.
No, that's not right. What is correct...
Well, can you answer this question for the public of New Zealand? Was Cameron Slater your source for the fact that your opponents visited the .com mansion, yes or no?
Well, I can't go into who passes me information any more than radio.
Yes, you
New
can,
Zealand
because
will.
you know that.
Well, of course I know who told me the information.
Was it Cameron Slater?
Well, does it matter?
Well, yes, it does, because
Why?
Cameron Slater has been involved in a whole range of these stories which have sought to damage public officials and political opponents.
What do we know about Cameron Slater? He deals with a huge number of people. The email on
Including
Saturday,
you.
Well, the email on Saturday showed that he was working with a media outlet.
We're not talking about media outlets. You do not have responsibility for media outlets.
No, and I don't
You have responsibility for yourself and your staff. And both of those people, yourself and your staff, have been engaging with Cameron Slater to damage your opponents. You cannot deny that.
Well, I can in terms of my own situation. I'm certainly happy to say, as I have in the past, that from time to time I've spoken to him about primarily one particular incident.
And it was the .com issue, wasn't it?
Well, it may be, but that wouldn't really matter.
Well, wouldn't it?
No, because at the end of the day, if he happened to have some information about that, then I might be interested for my own particular reasons. There's nothing wrong with that.
Doesn't this come down to judgment? It all comes down to judgment. After 3 years of watching and knowing intimately Judith Collins' style, you appointed her as Justice Minister, right at the heart of the integrity of the government. Wasn't that a massive failure of judgment on your part?
No, and if you go and have a look at the particular instance involved, she utterly disputes that. I haven't seen any evidence at the moment that supports that her position is
Do you trust
correct.
her still?
I do, but what I also know is that you need a full and proper inquiry. And I think if you go and have a look over the last 6 years I've been Prime Minister, every single week probably the opposition will call for an inquiry or ask for someone to be sacked. Over the course of the time I've been Prime Minister, I think I've had a very good sense of where that line is at. Where it's deemed to be serious, Morris Williamson, or this particular thing I got on Friday night, I've acted. Where I've deemed it to be unwise, I've said, look, it's unwise. And there's always a bit of granularity about these things, but you can't sit there and say that over a long period of time that I haven't either acted where I think it's been serious. But if I'm just going to act because the opposition don't like something, then we're going to end up in a position, in my view, where every single minister will get sacked because their claims are often outrageous and more often not wrong.
The Prime Minister, John Key.